to show notes on that one to try to catch up with what he's talking about.
Big time. It's fun though. It's a challenge to make it all the way through.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one is useful. I will say though, in what you're saying and in your defense, he hasn't updated SpinRite in 5 years. There has not been a new version. I just checked last week,
Right,
and I'm
right.
like, I'm using the same version that, but I guess it works for him, and that's it. So
That is his bread and butter.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, the next thing I wanted to talk about is actually something that was brought up on last week's Podnuts Daily on number 302 with Lisa Hendrickson of callthatgirl.biz.
Yes.
And that was about remote access.
Yes.
And by the way, I want to say she sounds like she really has her business together up there. That sounds like she really has something working well.
Yeah, she has that licked. It sounds like that, especially the remote area. Even with her other shops, she does sound like she's organized and she knows how to run businesses and people. So I agree.
Yeah. She really does, and it sounds like she's hiring, which is a good sign of things growing.
Oh yeah, big time. I need to hire some people.
Yeah, me too. Goes a little crazy running and supporting everybody. But if you want to stop running, that's a good segue there, Steve. If you want to stop running and you want to support your users but not have to run to their desks all the time, there's a tool that I use that saves me a lot of running around here. And it is actually one called VNC. Okay. If you guys know about it, then it works. There are a lot of other tools out there. There's Tight VNC. There's different types of remote access. I just use this one. This is just, like I said, these are the tools that I use. Everyone has their own personal preferences here. But VNC has saved me so much in the sense that I can do 2 or 3 things at one time sitting at my desk. Somebody calls up. I take care of it. I take care of their problem. In 15 seconds, they're back up and running, or their problem is solved, and I didn't have to leave my desk or stop what I was doing at that time. And it works on an, you really want to support it on an internal LAN. I have seen people doing it over the internet. I really don't recommend that.
Why not?
Well, I have read, now personal opinion, I've read that there have been a lot of security flaws going over the internet with Real VNC. Now, I haven't proven it. I haven't tested it myself. So I use another package, which is a LogMeIn, which is also something that Lisa spoke of on the previous show.
Yeah.
And what I do is I use Real VNC for internal LAN support, and because I can get in and out real quick, and I can still secure it down. And then if I have to, go ahead.
You don't have to install anything like you do in LogMeIn. Like, why don't you just use LogMeIn for internal as well? Is what I'm asking.
Because I feel like, and again, I've not, with VNC, it's so small and tiny and sitting on their system. I don't want to give them the opportunity to be able to install something. Don't forget, I'm a security guy, so I may be going to the nth degree on this thing. But I don't want to install something that they could possibly find a way to get into the internet and not have it through. I don't want to go out to come in. I want to have something that's just completely internal.
That makes sense. Is it Real VNC? Because there's different kinds. There's Ultra VNC, Single Click, all these ones. It's Real VNC? Is that what you're using?
RealVNC.com is what I use.
Gotcha.
It's been around for years and years.
It's got the little blue, green, and red letters, VNC.
Yeah. I have the link right there, but there's Tight VNC, which I've also worked with, but the Real VNC, it just works. It works with Windows 7. It works with XP. So, and we have all these, different ones at our shop. So I haven't been able to find anything that it doesn't work with. I thought I was going to have to move over to another VNC package with Windows 7, but I was able to get it to eventually work. So
very good.
And if you have family and friends or remote offices that you want to support, kind of what we were talking about before, then I use another one called LogMeIn. And as I said, Lisa talked about that one before. And I've been using LogMeIn for probably 6-7 years. And I have a whole list of family members and friends and everything else that I support all over the country.
I feel bad for you.
It just, yeah, like have enough to do up, and there's a free version. Again, like I said, most everything I'm going to talk about is free. And so there's a free version for home users. If you want to do file transfers, if you want to do remote printing, like you want to log into the office, but you want the reports to print at your desk at home, then highly recommend going for their pay version. I use one that's $60 a year, which is their pro version. It's more than enough for me.
Which one is that? Rescue?
The pro version. Oh, no. It's LogMeIn Pro is
LogMeIn
what
Pro?
it's called. Yeah. The Rescue, I was looking at actually doing that, but since I don't have my own business, I couldn't really justify the cost.
Right.
Rescue is fantastic because, if you have to support people on the fly and you have no idea who's going to be calling you, let's say an entire company of 100 people, and you're the IT guy sitting at the house or something, you don't want to install LogMeIn on every single desktop. You just want to have it done where they could go to, a web page and you say, okay, type in this code 1234, boom, you're on their desktop.
Right.
They didn't have to install anything.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Now, what is Pro? Pro just gives you the ability to transfer files.
It gives you a lot of things.
Okay.
It gives you ability to transfer files. It gives you the ability to do remote printing, which is really what my managers use when they work from home. They want to be able to have the reports print right to their desks in the house. Yet the application is application that's sitting actually at the office or even at a remote location like in Utah. Just to let you guys know, I'm in Atlanta, so it's you can do all those things.
Gotcha.
It gives you a lot of other features, but that's pretty much the highlight of the features that I would use on there.
Cool.
Yeah, you can even stream music from your work to your house if you want to. Don't know why anyone would want to do that, but I guess if you've got a 20 megabit connection at your house and you can afford it, then why not?
Oh, by the way, if in Lalo's videos at podnuts.com/bettertech, he does have a script for LogMeIn that will make your LogMeIn usage much easier, guys. So check that out at podnuts.com/bettertech. Just getting a plug in there.
I would like to jump onto that plug as well. I purchased those Lalo videos, and yeah, great stuff I hadn't even known that you could do before. So
good.
I definitely applaud him for that.
Nice. Good to hear.
Yeah, he did a good job. I actually got an email that he's coming out with new videos, so I'm looking forward to those coming out.
Oh yeah, he's ramping up.
Yep. The next thing that I was going to talk about is everyone has their own preference of antivirus. They, it's from AVG to, to Trend Micro to all the different ones here. Everyone has their own preferences. One of the things that I would like to add, and I think that last week you talked about that this actually used to be a supporter of Podnuts, was Malwarebytes. I know Malwarebytes has had their issues in the past, maybe. But
what issues? What issues?
Well, that's what Lisa was talking about last week. I haven't had any myself, but she had maybe said that they were having issues, that it wasn't working for her. I personally love it. I've been using Malwarebytes for years, and it has not failed me yet. When an antivirus program will not find, when I run into a problem with a PC that the antivirus doesn't catch, and I know that there's something going on here, I run Malwarebytes, and I am just amazed that it does catch that. Yeah. And again, people, there's a free version and there's a pay version. So if you're a home user or you want to just try it out, the free version is fully free. It's not limited in any way.
Yeah, we use that in the shop like crazy. But we did have a 1-2 punch. It was Super Anti-Spyware did sponsor the show for a month, and it's a great 1-2 punch with Malwarebytes and Super Anti-Spyware because usually one of them finds something that the other one didn't. So I usually liked running that, and with quick scans it runs fast. Yeah, Malwarebytes it's a great program. It's just solid. So
yeah.
Hopefully they keep. What is the Pro version? It allows you to schedule.
Actually, you know what? I have never purchased the Pro version before. When I ever need to just do a quick thing on a family member's or a friend's website, or a computer, or I will say even at work, I've had to do it just once or twice or something like that. It finds out. I have not. The Pro version, I remember it now. The Pro version allows you to run Resident, and I believe that the free version does not run Resident all the time. It doesn't run constantly on the system like the antivirus does.
Right.
I think that's their little gotcha.
Okay, cool.
So yeah. So now, who here wants to save money? Okay. The next topic.
Wait, I didn't get to answer yet.
Oh, okay.
I do. Go ahead.
Guys, you have to understand, this is my very first podcast, and so for me to talk into a camera is very strange to me. I usually have a group of people that I'm talking to.
I know.
So.
You know what? A lot of times I'll be like, raise your hand while I'm doing the podcast, I'll be like, all right, raise your hand if you agree with this. And I wonder how many people just do it out of habit. Probably none. But I would get a kick out of just at least a couple of guys going, "Oh, what the hell am I doing? I'm on a podcast." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, the next thing I'm going to talk about is open source. If there's anybody out there that has no idea what I'm talking about with open source, let me just give you a quick little rundown on this one. You have Microsoft. You cannot see the source code. You have OpenOffice or LibreOffice, and you can see the source code. What's the difference? Pay, free. The beauty of this is that you can do the same thing free that you would have to pay a lot of money to. So, for example, one of the things that I have been using for years and trying, of course, in the offices to try to save money, we can't afford to, we can't afford to go ahead and purchase a copy of Microsoft Office Business Edition for every single user in the company when all they need is just to view an Excel or to work on a little bit on an Excel spreadsheet once a week. The cost justification just is not there. With OpenOffice or LibreOffice, and I'll get to those in a second here, you're talking about an Office equivalent. And by the way, I've been moving over to LibreOffice here just because Door had recommended it on Linux for the Rest of Us a couple of weeks ago. And I had been using OpenOffice all this time and fell in love with LibreOffice, and I'm slowly transitioning everything.
Really? You like it?
The other.
Why do you like it?
Love it. First thing, I'm trying to get away from the big brother thing of Oracle and everything else taking over the little open source packages. And LibreOffice, from what I understand, was written by the same programmers that wrote OpenOffice, but did not come along with Oracle during the purchase. At least that's what I had read.
Okay, good. That's enough of a reason for me.
Yeah, exactly. And so LibreOffice, again, free, is here's a great comparison. Microsoft Office can cost anywhere from $100 for just one package. That would be Microsoft Word, Excel, whatever the case may be. You could talk about $100 each package, or you can buy the complete business package for $500. Well, you multiply that times 10 users, 20 users, you're really spending a lot of money here for a package that maybe you don't need all these features, or maybe you just don't have the budget for it, but you still need to run your business. You still need to sit there and have Word, Excel, and everything else.
Right.
LibreOffice will allow you to run everything that you need. You have your Word, your Excel, your Access, if you want to do database. You want to use PowerPoint for presentations, and it's completely 100% compatible with other users that are using Microsoft Office, full edition.
Right.
Even the DOCX and XLSX are the new versions that Microsoft made in, I think, Office 2007. That is, believe it or not compatible with Office 2003.
Right.
You have to have a special reader to be able to read these things.
Right.
LibreOffice doesn't care. It can read them, no problem.
Awesome.
And so if you don't want to have to pay good money to Microsoft, and you still want to have an Office environment and work with your customers or your other peers that may have Office, you can use LibreOffice. And I have nearly half of my users at where I work are on an open source Office platform, and I'm slowly migrating them over from OpenOffice to LibreOffice. They didn't know the difference. They really, truly didn't know the difference. So
that's great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the beauty of open source, is that you can actually do something that will make you really shine in the owner's eyes, because when he sees that bottom line, and you be sure to tell him that it didn't cost you anything because I have I learned about this and I'm utilizing this in the company. So
right.
That'll help you a lot.
I love that, your Linux and open source background here. And I like when people bring open source stuff to the show. I think it's great.
Yeah. Another one, and this is just a pet peeve of mine here, but another one is Adobe Acrobat. We have to use Adobe Acrobat to read PDF files on the internet, read documents on businesses.
You guys have to install full Acrobat, or are you just talking about Reader?
Reader, but even Reader is fat.
No,
even
Reader's
is
huge.
A heavy install.
Oh, I've expressed my hatred many times.
Yeah. Well, then you expect to be happy, because if you want to use an open source version of Adobe Acrobat, you can use one called Foxit, Foxit. And Foxit is beautiful because it's thin, it's fast, and it reads all the PDF files. It actually allows you to do the snapshots if you want to capture them and put them into a Word document or put them into a photo editing